Welcome to the NBA Files. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of the NBA Files. As always, I'm joined by Associate Editor of the Liberty Ballers, Roy Burton, as well as co-host of the BS Line, and I'm Kwame Fisher-Jones. We've got the NBA draft we're going to touch on, but today we are going to recap, relive, and re-enjoy the greatness that is one LeBron James. Rather than give you a question, just LeBron James, go.
LeBron James, he is one of the greatest singular athletes I've seen in my lifetime. I mean, what the Cleveland Cavaliers did in the last 3 games of the NBA Finals, what he did specifically is one of the most amazing sports achievements I have seen, we have seen in generations.
Not just NBA, sports.
Wow. We have seen in generations. He beat a team, a 73-win team, down 3-1, went to Golden State twice, won on their home floor where they've lost twice all year.
Hadn't lost 3 games in a row in 2 years,
in 2 years. Hit you with a triple-double in Game 7. I mean, that stuff legends are made of.
You know, and we're going to get to the thing that really stuck with me, though, is I bailed on him.
I bailed on him.
You know, but I'm as diehard LeBron. Like, I love LeBron James. To me, he's delivered every time. He's delivered on every level. I love LeBron. And I bailed on him because of how bad they were annihilated.
They look bad. They look bad, man.
To win, not only to win 3 straight, not only the thing that stands out to me is I don't think there's been a more scrutinized athlete.
I would agree.
And what I mean by scrutinized, like Kobe, he did it to himself. He did it to himself. Mike, he faced a lot when he first came in.
Right.
Larry had the cultural, but people genuinely hate LeBron James. And 2 things come to mind that make me that resound that fact to me.
Okay.
Derrick Rose winning an MVP when LeBron earned the MVP.
I agree.
And the travesty that is Steph Curry winning back-to-back MVPs. This win, 3 straight games. 2 of which took place in your back-to-back MVP's backyard.
That's right, in his building.
With he and his wife present.
That's right.
That says more to me than anything else.
I mean, it's an unbelievable accomplishment. I mean, again, you have a 73-win team, arguably one of the 3 or 4 best offensive teams in the history of the NBA, a team that just steamrolled teams. After a year where they won the title before, everybody got it from them. These steamrolled teams in year 2 look like an unstoppable juggernaut for most of the first 4 games of the series. And then LeBron flipped the switch.
And it wasn't a matter of, okay, well, like you hear people say Kyrie Irving hit a bit. Stop it. Stop it.
No.
Kyrie, it wasn't Kyrie. It wasn't Kevin Love. Because think about it. Think about this now. Think about the cast of characters.
Yes.
As we watched the parade, we were talking about this. These are dudes that go to a public outing with no shirt on.
J.R. Smith went 30. He went 36 hours without a shirt on. J.R. Smith, and he was the 3rd leading scorer on the Cavs in the finals.
Nipples to the wind.
Just out there. Just out there.
It tells you the mindset. I mean, Kevin Love, it wasn't like these were dudes who had never, like you say, they had never won an NBA title before they got to them. These cats had never won in the playoffs.
No.
JR went to in a Western Conference Finals.
Correct.
Outside of that, he's been an NBA journeyman from the Bulls to
the
he's
Knicks.
never had any playoffs. But Shumpert, Kevin Love had never even been to the playoffs.
Never been in the playoffs.
And now he's a champion. Kyrie Irving won 35 games in the 2 or 3 years before LeBron arrived.
Right.
He won, and LeBron gave him 50 in back-to-back seasons. I mean, it's not just history, it's greatness.
Yeah.
And it's baffling when people criticize him, but, you know, that epitomizes greatness when you're not appreciated in your own time.
That's the thing. It's legendary, but the thing is, you know, in today's day and age, you know, we, and when I mean we, the greater we, are so quick.
Not me.
Are so quick to tear down,
me.
you know, our great athletes. Are so quick to find flaws in these guys when we need to sit back and appreciate, like you said, the greatness that LeBron James showed us.
Well, greatness is never appreciated in his own time. We know that, but the magnitude of what he's accomplished, but the little nuances, like I said, and the big Dumbo in the room, and we're going to get into what he can do for an encore performance, and we'll get into specifics about the season, but back-to-back MVPs got it handed to him. That, to me, says so much. NBA Files.
Welcome back to the NBA Files. Roy Burton alongside Kwame Fisher-Jones, and we're basking still in the glow of LeBron James' incredible, legendary performance in the final 3 games of the NBA Finals. But let's talk about what happens next. LeBron brings the title to Cleveland. What can he do to possibly top this going forward?
I think he should drop the mic.
That's it.
I think he should, and I know it's an overused phrase now. Like when you see it on, an episode of Friends, I think they're going to say drop the mic next. But if he wins back-to-back titles, great. But if he loses, people may be prisoners of the moment.
Okay.
6 straight NBA finals, two championships with 2 separate, completely different teams. He's lost an NBA final, so he's had the agony of the defeat and the spoils of victory.
Right.
I don't think there's anything he can do that can top this performance. I don't think there is an encore performance, and that's rare in sports.
Yeah.
Because, Peyton, I referenced before that LeBron was kind of like the NBA version of Peyton Manning. I don't think that's the case anymore, but I don't think there's anything he can do at this point. I think that at this point, this juncture, it's over. I think he's peaked.
I don't know if he's peaked because he still has some ways to go up the NBA pyramid. I mean, he's not the greatest
You're talking
player.
about records,
he's
though.
not the greatest player of all time. He's not, he still has more things to accomplish, to put on his NBA resume. So maybe another title, maybe another 2 more titles moves him up the ladder a little bit.
If you don't put him, look, first of all, the greatest NBA player of all time is like the Gooch. Doesn't exist. Because people say, well, Mike's the greatest of all time, but if you throw out centers,
Right.
which is a cop-out.
Right.
When you rank players, you guys say, well, throw out. No, centers are, you know what I mean?
Centers
They don't get penalized because, MJ can't back you over a sky hook, because the truth of the matter is Shaq and Hakeem could cross you over. Maybe not to the level Jordan can, but they could do it. So I think where he is now is where he's going to be.
Okay.
I don't think, if you have it, for me, he's top 3. No, he's top 5. He's
Okay.
not top 3.
He's not
My top 3 is solidified. It will never change.
Okay, but he's
top 5. And okay, maybe he goes from 5 to 4.
Right.
But there's nothing he can do. Now, statistically, the records, it's in baseball, baseball's a sport driven by records.
Right.
Basketball is not. Basketball is a sport driven by the moment. So I don't think there's anything, I don't feel like there's anything left to accomplish. I mean, maybe come to Philly and win a title, or in New York, but, as a Sixers fan, I live off of that. NBA fan,
Right.
This is it.
This is it.
That's the moment.
All right.
We found out who shot JR. That's our moment.
Not J.R. Smith.
Yeah. But is anything funnier than seeing a grown man ride around in a car with no shirt on?
For multiple days. They're not even,
a millionaire. Don't put a shirt on.
He got
right?
on planes with no
He
shirt
said,
on.
I'm going to match this. And didn't he have one of his calf shorts?
He has
I believe
calf shorts on.
So he hasn't even showered.
Didn't even shower.
Smelling
didn't
like
change.
4 days ago.
When the president is calling your coach and asking your coach to tell you to put a shirt on, that's a problem.
It's beyond a problem, but it tells you that and I love everyone. I love JR.
Oh no, we both do.
I love JR. I love everything that JR is. But it tells you the idiots he's working with. And I don't mean idiots in any nice way. I don't mean special in a nice way. JR is a special type of. Between J.R. Smith and Shumper's hair and Kevin Love wanting to be a model. These are champions now, man.
They got rings, man. Rings and title belts. It's a beautiful thing.
And you mentioned where he rests in history.
Right.
It's the Dumbo in the room now. It's the elephant in the room.
That is the elephant in the room.
People keep putting. I don't know when Jordan passed Kareem. Magic, in my opinion. But Jordan versus LeBron. Who you got?
I don't even know if we have time in this segment to kind of dive into.
Okay, so let me close it up there.
Okay,
let me close it up there.
All right.
Which was more impressive to you, LeBron coming back to Cleveland to win a title,
Right.
or Michael coming out of baseball to win a title?
I'm probably, again, just because of the cast of characters and the situation, I got to go with LeBron. I mean, when Mike walked back in, it was a pretty good Bulls team he walked back to. I mean, Pippen was there. You had Rodman. You had Kukoc. You had pretty good role players, Ron Harper and the like. You had a
Randy
nice
Brown, who will never get credit.
Randy Brown, Tony Kukoc. I mean, you had a nice squad there, and not that they were ready-made to win, but I mean, you had Mike to that team, and you understand why it didn't. Why they went and won 3 titles in a row. Again, LeBron's playing with Mo Williams and Richard Jefferson and J.R. Smith.
Nothing to do who wouldn't put his shirt on.
And it's an amazing accomplishment what he did these last 2 seasons in Cleveland. I think title 3 for LeBron outweighs title number 4 for Mike.
Sports is about emotion and about reality. Emotionally, LeBron's title pales to Jordan's. And Jordan coming back wearing the 4-5, when he walked away because his father passed.
Right.
And the things that people know and the things they don't. If you're in the media, you know a lot about Michael Jordan's family that you don't talk about.
Right.
But all those things, cumulative coming back to him losing to the team that would have probably ran that era.
Right.
So we'll talk about that more. NBA Files. Welcome back to the NBA Files. We are discussing not Michael Jordan versus LeBron James,
No.
but rather which comeback story is more impressive. Emotionally, like I said, sports emotionally, you have emotion and reality. The emotional factor is Hank Aaron was a better home run hitter than Babe Ruth. The reality is Babe Ruth was a better hitter than Hank Aaron. But emotionally, you tend, and in basketball, you know, Jordan wearing the 4 or 5, and you mentioned that he didn't win that year. Well, neither did LeBron.
Right.
You know, but Jordan, when Jordan came back, there were 2 teams on the cusp of greatness. It was the Orlando Magic, with Penny Hardaway and Shaquille O'Neal, and the Indiana Pacers. Coming back and playing the Pacers and changing his jersey number and losing and disappearing for a summer. Disappearing for a summer. I don't think
Right.
that's when I think they filmed Space Jam the year before.
Right.
Oh no, that was the Olympics. I don't know when they filmed Space Jam. I should look that. I know somebody's gonna tweet me and tell me. But either way, to pretty much disappear basketball-wise, come back, dawning to 23, and just run through the NBA. And you know, they had a lot of sub 500 teams when Mike played, which no one talks about. But emotionally, I definitely think that it was Jordan's run that was more impressive.
But when you talk about emotions, though, let's look at the LeBron championship. Let's look at the man, again, from Akron, Northeast Ohio, coming home to a city that hadn't won anything.
That burned his jersey.
It burned his jersey. That Scott Rabb wrote the book, The Whore of Akron, about LeBron James after he walked. This team hadn't won, and this city hadn't won anything in 50 years. The hometown son comes home, delivers a championship. 1.3 million people show up to this parade. I mean, it's an amazing achievement.
Hadn't won a title in 50 years.
I mean, it's an amazing achievement. I mean, there was a documentary, a 30 for 30, Believe Land, about how everything in Cleveland, the football team, the baseball team, just year after year after year, disappointment after disappointment, and LeBron James comes home and does it. I mean, that's a huge, I mean, I know it's Cleveland, so we're a little detached from it, you know, but I think that's a huge emotional impact. It had a huge emotional impact, that title.
I think emotionally, no, just because, all right, reality-wise, I think the reality is LeBron's was much more significant. But emotionally, remember what the NBA was when Jordan left?
Yes.
Kenny Anderson was an all-star.
Yeah, it was a bit
Dana
bad.
Barrows was an all-star. Willie Burton was giving dudes 50. I mean, you know, the Knicks and the flipping Miami Heat were the game of the week, 60 to 60. This was great basketball.
Right,
No,
good
it
basketball.
killed basketball. It literally retarded basketball for years to come. You know, and him stepping back in the foray and just adding that glistening, that sunshine that came back to it. And it created a whole new culture of NBA player. You know, the guy that wanted to score, like now, if you don't score 60, you're not considered a great player. I mean, the fact of the matter is LeBron is a better all-around basketball player than Michael Jordan, but Jordan can give you 60 and a quarter, so people say he's not.
Right.
You know, the emotions that came. He is now back after every shot.
Exactly.
Every game, Madison
Exactly.
Square Garden. To me, the emotional side of it will always be, and that's why I will say it's more impressive when reality is, you're right. All the things that go into the, you know, Believe Land, Cleveland,
Right.
they hadn't won an NBA title, neither the Bulls, but Cleveland, you know, Craig Elo in Michael Jordan's highlights.
Exactly.
Brad Daugherty,
Brad
Mark
Daugherty,
Price, one of the
yes.
most underrated point guards of his era. Yeah, reality-wise, it probably is more impressive, but emotion is where I'm going to lead to, and I definitely would say Mike's comeback, the 45, the 23, the new patent leather Jordans that we still wear today. I got like 2 pairs of them. It all was encompassed in him come back. And the fact that he habitually beat the team, he needed to beat the team. So but he needed to beat the team that was going to be that team.
Right.
Because they lose to the Magic, then the next year, swept them out of there.
Right.
Swept them out of there.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely Jordan's run.
Just real quick, let me ask you though, do we have a little bit of bias to our time when we say
No.
that. Okay, so there's no bias. I
No.
mean, just straight up unbiased opinion. Emotionally,
No.
Mike's comeback is better than LeBron's.
Because I've had the opportunity to have things explained to me about the complexity of Michael Jordan and where he really is in NBA history. We'll talk about a little bit of that. We'll bump it back. We'll talk about it. We'll come back on the other side of the break. In fact, we're going to go into that. NBA Files. Welcome back to the NBA Files. Roy Burton, Kwame Fisher-Jones. Roy posed a great question to me if there's a bias about Michael Jordan for our era and our generation, and I say no. There was a time, and I said no, and I'm emphatic about it. There was a time where I felt Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player ever. And then I got a chance to coach basketball. I was a student assistant coach under an NBA player, Stevie Thompson. Syracuse's all-time leader in games played, Stevie Thompson. And one of the things that I learned from him was had them reiterated into my head was the fundamentals of the game.
Okay. And
Mike did everything wrong. I mean, he gambled on weak side shots. He reached. He did all the things you don't teach. Now, fundamentally, in the beginning, he was fundamentally sound, and he would also freelance, and that's why people hated him so much, because he was a freelancer.
Right.
You think about the Patrick Ewing shots. You don't teach, you tell your guard, don't ever leave your man to go take a weak side shot block on the center. And that's why through Jordan's career, shooters, whether it was Reggie Miller or Larry Bird, gave him fits because he would always gamble. He would always leave his man. As far as an offensive player, you would often see the Jordan highlights of Jordan doing going one-on-one or taking on one-on-5. Right. Yeah, it was great when he finished, but it was damned when you didn't. You know what I mean? That's why he had to play with guys like Scottie Pippen and guys who would be stationary in one spot, like John Paxson and B.J. Armstrong, and guys like Dennis Rodman, because Mike was the most selfish basketball player. He only knew one way to go.
Right.
LeBron is the polar opposite of that. LeBron does everything you teach back. Think about it. The block of the play of the series.
Yes.
If you're a basketball fan.
Yes.
The play of the series is him eating Andre Iguodala's
yes,
shot.
pinning it to the glass.
What do you teach every player, whether it's CYO, rec league, college, semi-pro, whatever? Get back on defense.
Get back on defense.
Get back on defense.
Yep.
Trail the play. You never know what's going to happen.
Never know what's going to happen.
And that changed. When he did that, you could actually feel. I was at a bar. You heard the whole bar is going to say Warriors. In fact, I had to sit in the back. The whole bar going to say Warriors fan. When he did that, everyone said, "Oh,
right.
oh." Right. And a lady said, "Isn't that a foul or something? You can't do that." And I was like, "It's no damn foul."
No human being
That's a champion.
can do that. LeBron can do that.
LeBron,
okay?
and when he did it, it changed everything. That is basketball. That is why LeBron is always. That's why LeBron is always going to be a better basketball player.
Yeah.
Now, winner, all those other things.
That's something different, right?
But so no, I don't think there's a bias at all.
Okay.
Now, with a winner comes a loser.
Always, yeah.
And we sat here, and I told you.
You did tell me.
I told you. Aisha would ruin that man. It would cost them a title. And I said it would cost them a title because it wasn't about, he's livid because Tom, Dick, and Harry are talking about his wife. But he's also got to sit in the living room and listen to her say, they don't know me. They don't know what I'm talking about. Because if you know a black woman, I love my black women, but if you know a black woman, it don't leave that easy.
No.
And they are never going to be hushed.
No, they got to get it out. And he said that he and his wife had a conversation. I would have loved to have been the fly on the wall during that conversation.
You don't want no parts of that.
It's not even a conversation. It's a monologue.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a one-way conversation between her to him, and he sits there and listens. And like you said, that weighs on you. Like that's the kind of stuff you have to think about stopping. Again, probably the most complete basketball player, most complete talent this game has ever seen. And then you got to deal with this, and you have to deal with Stephen A. Smith, and you have to deal with all the articles and the sports talk radio. Look, the man had a terrible shooting game. Like the man was, had some horrible turnovers. Like the one at the very end.
Brain farts.
Just terrible. Like he clearly wasn't in focus, or he wasn't focused on Game 7, and that's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. That was at home. That was the worst time for something like that to happen. But that's what happened. I mean, the two-time MVP came up small in the biggest moment of his career.
He came up small, and history will be unkind to him because of how small he came up. but we cannot discount the power of the woman.
No.
We can. And that's the one person, the one situation, the one instance that can take you out of your zone.
Mm-hmm.
You can carry, and as men, we're beholden to them.
Right.
We're beholden to them, and they have the innie, and we do everything we can for the innie, and it was over for him the moment she said that. It was over. NBA Files. Welcome back to the NBA Files. We were discussing Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
And before we talk about Steph Curry, the player, personally, we both have a rule. We don't talk about players off the court.
Right.
And what they do off the court, good or bad, we don't hold them hostage to that. But the fact that it was something that was predicated on performance on the court is why we're willing to indulge in it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, those comments, on a serious note, it wasn't just the comments.
Right.
There's a lot of things in the playoffs with Steph that just it wore on him. And
Mm-hmm.
the comments, even the picture of the young lady that's staring at him in I don't want to say inappropriate manner,
Right.
but dude, my daughter's right there, and you're tweeting and then him getting hurt against
Right.
Houston, and
Right.
and and you got guys who are like Maurice with no C, space, calling LeBron James. It was just a lot of non-basketball
stuff.
things.
I mean, you got the Draymond Green stuff, and then his father-in-law, Steph Curry's father-in-law, getting accosted, in the arena, for under suspicion of having fake tickets. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yo, shout out to the Cleveland security that did that. That was brilliant.
Oh yeah, then of course it was a game. I think it was game 6 when they're going to Cleveland and Aisha's stuck on the bus because Beyonce's there.
Damn right.
And like the Cleveland family can't get. I mean, the Golden State Warriors family can't get to the game on time because the Queen herself actually gets to the game. I mean, there was such a lot going on.
And then she's got to eat that though.
You got to eat that. You got to eat that L.
You don't tell Steph that. Like, he don't want to hear about it.
That's your L.
Now
You
he's
gotta take
thinking
that.
about his daughter sitting on a bus.
Right.
And,
You got to take that L.
I don't want to dive too much into his personal life. I'm not gonna get into that.
Okay.
But it's just, there's some things that he's gonna need to address.
Right.
And it's not just it's not just okay, my wife talks too much. Like, no.
No.
Because that's who he fell in love with. So no,
Right, no.
there's
That's
some
his wife,
issues
yeah.
there. Now, let's talk about Steph Curry, the player.
Yes.
He missed a couple games. He missed
A few games.
In the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He is a frail player, and I'm a big Steph Curry fan, and Davis, and I expected more out of Steph Curry earlier in his career. Mark Jackson did a lot to help him get between the ears to
Right.
turn him into a great player, and he is a great player. I don't know if he's a superstar, but I definitely would say he's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Steph Curry that we have come to know and love gone?
I don't think so. I mean,
Really?
he's still, here's the thing. He's still the best shooter we've all seen in our lifetime ever. He's still the greatest.
I disagree, but
Three-point shooter. I know you really you delineate between shooter and three-point shooter.
Yes.
So I'll say three-point
Okay.
shooter. He's the best that we've seen.
better than Ray Allen.
Three-point shooter. Yeah, I thought Ray Allen. To me, Ray Allen's too, and I thought Ray Allen was the greatest three-point shooter I've ever seen.
Better than
Steph
Larry
Curry.
Bird.
Yeah, Steph Curry. Steph Curry is unbelievable from deep. Now, all that said, and he's led the league in scoring. We have seen that if you play Steph Curry physically, I mean, if you get after him a little bit, you can throw him off of his game. I mean, again, you saw what Cleveland did. I mean, again, like LeBron's special. So I mean, you can't just like roll out a LeBron on every team.
Give Kyrie a little bit. We got to give Kyrie a little bit of credit.
Give
there.
Kyrie a little bit of credit. Give
Competitive fire.
Kevin Love, the stopper,
No.
a little bit of credit
I refuse to.
for that one play. You
No.
not for one play.
No, not at all. Not in the least bit.
But we have seen that if you put an engaged wing defender on Stephen Curry,
I like
you can
that.
throw him off of his game a little bit. So I mean, will we see Steph Curry average 30 a game and shoot the ball from the parking lot, like we did this past year? No. But I mean, I think he's still going to win a couple more scoring titles. I think he's still going to go down as the most prolific three-point shooter of all time. So I think he'll be off his game a little bit, but he's still going to be Steph Curry.
I think that they are. I think that the phrase "best of all time" is giving him more credit.
Okay.
I don't think he's the best of all time. I don't think he's the best three-point shooter. I don't think he's the best shooter. I think he's one of the more flashier shooters of all time.
Okay.
I think he's one of the more eccentric, exciting shooters of all time. But I don't think he's the best. To me, the best shooter of all time,
Three-point shooter?
Okay, you want to say three-point
Yeah,
shooter?
yeah.
We'll say three-point shooter. Three-point shooter, mid-range shooter, 12 is Larry Bird.
Okay.
As a Sixers fan, watching Larry Joe Bird do what he did, game in, game out, play in, play out. All right, yeah, Kevin McHale was a good low post player, if you say so. Robert Parrish was a good center, if you say so. The fact of the matter is Dennis Johnson and Larry Bird will, to me, go down as one of the best two perimeter players I've ever seen play. And Larry Bird will never get the credit he deserves as a team defender. That's fine, but Steph ain't no Larry Bird.
Okay.
And
all right.
But going back to the question that I posed, yes, I think it's over. I think it's done. Teams will defend him differently now. Game 1, he'll get the shiver bone bobo in the first quarter that he was not getting this year. The gloves off, oh, Steph's a nice guy, defense is over, because now people have seen you bleed. You know, and it's the gladiator line. You know what I mean? Are you not entertained?
Right.
You know, and I forget the book, but you know, we've seen him bleed now. Oh, it's the Rocky scene. He's a man.
yeah.
He's a man. He's not a machine.
Right.
So we've seen it now. LeBron is a machine.
Right, LeBron's a machine.
Yeah, people look at LeBron like, okay, you know,
bleed.
people, and you had guys blowing his ear, you have guys do things, and it didn't frazzle LeBron. Steph is frazzled, so it's over. People have seen that weakness.
But let me ask you this, though. I mean, again, you've coached basketball. You understand the game. You knew this pretty much from jump, that if you get a 6'3" guy and get a little physical with him, you can throw him off of his game. I mean, this isn't new. Like, how is it that NBA teams are now finally getting the book on Steph Curry when this seems pretty obvious to guys like us who, you know, aren't in the game?
Because they've seen it now. Kyrie Irving is a wretched defender. Kyrie Irving's a wretched defender. Kyrie Irving's a wretched defender. What he was able to accomplish through effort and just competitive fire elevated his game.
Right.
He made that shot because he was on 10 the entire, I want to say, game 5,
Right,
6, and 7.
Yeah, last 3 games.
He was on 10. I don't know what got him to 10. We'll never know, and I don't want to give it to LeBron because it takes away from maybe Kyrie being self-motivated, because maybe he turns the corner and becomes a player that a lot of people think he's capable. I never thought he could play at that level consistently. What he was able to do, not through discipline, but through just sheer will and competitive fire now, people will duplicate.
Right.
And it's now made him, I mean, I don't know if he's going to go into the Olympics, but it's now made him a household name. He's now going to be doing, he's now a different type of player. He'll get endorsements. People are going to want that.
Right.
And if it comes at the expense of Melo Yellow, so be it. And when you've seen it, like, everybody can tell you how to do it. No one's ever done it.
Right.
Now we've seen it done.
Okay.
So that's the difference now. John Wall is going to give you 100%, you know, when he plays, because he's seen Kyrie do it now. When you see a guy that's not as talented as you eating, you know what I mean, or a guy that doesn't have what you have getting, you know, and you're a competitive man, your life is predicated on competitive things,
right,
you're going to see that. And that's why I think it's going to close the door. Now, conversely, though, I think we'll see Klay Thompson elevate.
I agree.
But with Steph, we've had injury history. We got a guy that's frail. He plays in a conference that's up and down, although, you know, we'll jump into that. That's it. I think this is it for him. He's going to get beat up, which, you know, we saw that somebody's going to get beat up. Teams are going to defend him different. And the Golden State is a lot of this. A lot of talking a bag.
A lot of it.
And people get pissed off with that.
A lot of it.
Now, we have different opinions on Steph Curry.
Okay.
Is Golden State's run over?
I don't want to say over. It's going to be a lot harder for them to get back.
Over with a capital O-V and an H. Over.
You think it's over? You think it's done?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. I don't know if it's over, because, again, it's so hard to say, you know, because the Western Conference, like you said, is kind of in flux. It's up and down. Obviously, a lot hinges on Durant, whether or not he leaves the Western Conference entirely or whether he stays.
If he goes to Golden State, maybe hinges on him. I don't think anything else. He's not going to go to a better situation when he's got him going.
OKC and Golden State are the two best situations for Durant. So, but that plays a role in it. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be harder because, again, everybody's going to be gunning for him. Like you said, Steph Curry is not going to. He's not going to be. If this is 100, Steph Curry, we're going to see something in the 90s at the very least of Steph Curry. Of course, Harrison Barnes is probably going to walk. So again, I know you don't.
So sad.
But that death lineup, I mean, the death lineup during the regular season won them a lot of games. And if you don't have Harrison Barnes in your starting lineup, you're starting Iggy now, and now your bench is.
Harrison Barnes is the difference Between winning and losing, we in a whole heap of trouble.
Forget the finals. So you got the finals in your mind. You got the finals
I got
etched in your brain.
62 in my mind. His name is Harrison Barnes.
No, you got
yo.
games 1 through 7 in the finals where
Bobo ain't beating anybody.
Harrison Barnes missing wide open shots. You got to look back at games 1 through 82 when Harrison Barnes was starting for the Warriors, when they were destroying teams with the Barnes, Iguodala, Draymond Green lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And now Iguodala's your starter. Barnes is gone. Your bench is weaker. You got to play 82 games with a weaker bench. I mean, again, that's going to take a toll as well.
Struggle breeds what is it? Without struggle, there's no progress.
Mm-hmm.
San Antonio will be back.
Okay.
San Antonio will be back.
I agree.
Portland will be back. There'll be other teams ready to take
They'll be
hold of
back, but will they be better than the Warriors?
Yes.
Okay.
NBA Files.
Welcome back to the NBA Files. Roy Burton alongside Kwame Fisher-Jones, and we're going to switch gears and go from the NBA Finals to the NBA Draft. Now, this is a big draft for Sixers fans, and we'll talk about that later in the show. But a lot of players found new homes on Thursday night. So let me ask you, what players found themselves in a good situation after everything that happened in the draft?
Well, I think Buddy Hield.
Okay.
And not just because I'm a Buddy Hield fan, but New Orleans is searching for an identity, and Anthony Davis is. I'm so tired of hearing how great of a complete player a guy is that plays for an 18-win team, 19-win team.
I hear you.
But Buddy Hield with Alvin Gentry, who's a good coach. I don't know if he's a great NBA coach, but he's a great teacher of the game.
I agree. I would agree with that.
Buddy Hield, who's a mature young man, is going into a great situation. Tariq Evans will probably be on his way out, but Drew Holiday is a guy who's a good player and nothing special, but a good guy that can help Buddy Hield transition well. So I really like Hield in that situation. Another guy that I like is obviously Simmons, but I also like Ingram. And it's easy to say the second pick in the draft landed, or it's easy to say he landed in a bad situation. But I think LA's a playoff team. I think they'll be a playoff team. I love Russell, and I was not a Russell fan.
Right.
God, I wasn't a Russell fan, but he surprised me. He's competitive, fire, testicular fortitude, but they're going to add some free agents, probably Al Horford. We're hearing DeMar Rosen may go there, although now that they got Ingram, it doesn't make sense to grab him in there.
Right.
But, you got Horford. Luke Walton will be a good coach, but you got the pedigree in LA. I think that's a great – I think those two stand out as far as the best fits. Going later into the draft, it's always a matter of coaching and playing time, so you don't know. Yeah. You're high on the Sixers' Turkish shooting guard.
I am.
You think, and now, if he can play any bit, he can play a little bit, he's in a great situation.
Well, he's not going to play this year. He's not going to be here this year. He's a draft and stash guy. He's 19 years old. He's over in Turkey. He actually plays with Dario Saric over in Turkey.
Shocking.
So he's not going to play this year. So yeah, Korkmaz, if anybody out there, America, if you're waiting for Furkan Korkmaz to put on a Sixers uniform, you're going to have to wait a year or two because that's not.
So there's no shot of him. Now I heard differently. There's no shot.
I don't think they want him to come over. Quite frankly, I don't think he's ready. He's 19 years old. I don't know if you've seen a lot of highlights.
He took a guy in the first round of the NBA draft that's not ready to play in the NBA. My God!
I don't think he's ready. He's 19 years old. If you look at his body, he needs to put some more weight on. He's about 200
pounds.
So
does Ingram, though.
But you see Ingram has a bevy of skills that you can roll right into the NBA.
He played the USA style of basketball. Okay, so then, all right, we'll say that for later then. See, now I was thinking he was in a good, because if he could play a little bit, and I haven't seen footage of him, like game footage, highlight packages, seen game footage. I would say that he's in a perfect situation because the Sixers don't have a ball-dominating wing player. So, but if he's not coming,
but you have Luwawu, who's ready to play, who will come over. Timothy Luwawu, the first player.
Who?
20. Come on now. The 24th.
He got
pick.
to average 6 points.
The 24th pick in the draft.
Yeah, 6 points.
Timothy Luwawu can play. All right, he is going to play. He's going to get good minutes in the rotation next year. He's a 6'7" wing defender. Shot 37% from deep. He's ready to go. Super athletic.
Clear room out on my trophy case.
You get Luwawu and you get Ben Simmons on the break. It's gonna be exciting. I'm telling you right now. I know you don't know this guy from Adam. I know you saw a guy.
Well, I don't, and you're right. I haven't seen game footage of him. All right, so you think he's in a perfect situation? Give me some other guys that you think are in a great situation.
And there's another guy, we disagree on this, and I know why you don't agree, but I think Chris Dunn is in a perfect situation. for him. I think he's in a really good spot.
Who's the coach in Minnesota?
In Tom Thibodeau.
Okay. And Derrick Rose is a handicap placker now because
Derrick
of Tom
Rose is a
Thibodeau.
handicap placker. Luol Deng lost a couple years of his career. I mean, you can list a few
Joakim
guys.
Noah.
Joakim Noah lost a few years of his career
Taj Gibson has fake teeth now.
because they played 45 minutes a game under Tibbs. I understand. But when you have, again, you can slide in, and they'll probably move Rubio this offseason, I'm sure, because they tried to.
I would take him in Philly.
They tried to on draft night, but you slide into a situation with Wiggins and Levine and Karl Anthony Towns and Shabazz Muhammad and some of those guys they have on the bench. That team, when all those guys are ready to go in 3 years, that team is going to be phenomenal. Phenomenal.
All right, we'll take a quick break. I want to get into this, Don. I want to get into some other guys in a bad situation. NBA Finals. Welcome back to the NBA Files. I completely 100% disagree with you.
Okay.
I'm not even going to say your name. That's how bad I disagree with you. That's Roy Burton. I'm Kwame Fisher-Jones. You know, you're looking at Chris Dunn, and we're discussing Chris Dunn and the situation. The topic at hand is what players are in good and bad situations. And we're supposed to still be on the good situations, but
Yes.
we're going to jump to the bad and then a couple good ones. You're talking about the player Chris Dunn is in a good situation.
The player and the situation, the surrounding talent that will grow together. So by the time those guys figure out how to play in the NBA, you know, they'll all be 25, 26 years old. They'll all get it. They'll all have a nice, synergy with one another. Minnesota's going to be a problem.
And that's where I think it is. That's where the problem is. Dunn is a competitive, headstrong player.
Agreed.
Tom Thibodeau takes those guys and runs them into the ground because he only knows one way to go. He only knows 100 miles per hour. That's going to hurt Dunn. You're going to have point guard is the hardest position to come into in the NBA.
Absolutely.
You know, in college and in high school, being a big man is difficult. But in the NBA, transitioning to a point guard is difficult enough. You have a coach who is going to expect you to defend Russell Westbrook now.
Right.
D'Angelo Russell now. Chris Paul now. Damian Lillard now. I don't see how that's a good situation for him. There's no growth. There's no potential for growth there.
I don't know. Chris Dunn is ready for. He is the best perimeter defender in coming out of college this year. He's ready for the challenge. I mean, he's got that. Chris Dunn's got that dog. I mean, he's got that fire in him. I know we say this a lot on the show. He's got that fire in him. He's ready for the challenge. I'm hoping. Maybe part of me is hoping that Tibbs kind of realizes what he did in Chicago.
Hope leaves when reality walks in.
And dials it back 15%. I mean, he doesn't push the pedal all the way to the metal. Pulls a little bit back. Because again, if you play these guys 38, 39 minutes like you did Luol Deng, I mean, these guys are going to get burned out by 27. I mean, it's going to be a bad situation. I just like that situation for Dunn, especially even if they keep Rubio, because you can learn the game from Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio, high basketball IQ, can teach Chris Dunn how to be a point guard in the NBA, how to be a playmaker in the NBA. I think that's a good situation. I really do.
You know, another situation I think was great is Jamal Murray with the Nuggets. I like that combo guard back court of him and Moutier.
Yes.
Steal that from Max and Marcellus. You know, I love that combo backcourt in the Western Conference. You know, you've got two guys that are interchangeable, really, the point guard, so you can bring them up who's ever hot, But right. Moutier's more of a scorer, and Murray's more of a shooter,
right.
more of a spot-up guy. They're two completely different guards. I think they're going to be great together.
Yeah, that's a nice mix.
You know, I love that lineup. I'm going through it now. Another guy that I like, I don't like. Well, I'll say the don't likes for later. I also like Damian Jones going to the Warriors.
Yeah, that's a nice spot for Damian Jones. Well, it's really, I mean, you always see like those teams at the end of the draft, they always pick guys who just
Tony
fit.
Parker. Yeah,
like to just fit right in there. Because if you think about it before the draft, it's like, all right, well, what type of guy would be good for the Warriors to add? And then they get Damian Jones. You're like, all right, well, that makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
It's a perfect guy. Like the Spurs do it every year. Like every single year, the Spurs draft a guy. It's like, oh, that's a Spurs guy. Like Kyle Anderson, like a couple years ago. It's like, he clearly is a Spurs guy. He wouldn't work anywhere else.
Yes.
But you put him on the Spurs, you're like, all right, well, he'll be fine. Like it's a good situation for him.
Now, let's talk about bad places.
Okay.
Jaylen Brown.
What
the hell are the Celtics thinking? Do you not have enough guard forwards?
Well, they need a three, all right? So they're like, all right, let's get a guy who can play a three. I'm not in love with Jaylen Brown. I mean, in terms of fit, it fits better. But I mean, if you want to get a guy, I mean, if you're going to draft at 3, if you're not going to trade anybody or hold the Sixers up for ransom, just take a big. Just take Dragan Bender and just be good with it.
Exactly.
Just take Bender. I mean, don't overthink this.
I mean, Bender goes to the Suns. It's another bad spot for him.
Yeah, just don't overthink it.
I mean, it's like picks 3 through 6 were just bad picks, but outside of Hield. But, you know, I look at this, and I think Brown ended up in a terrible situation. We've discussed ad nauseum, done. Thon Maker.
See, here's the thing. It's not a good situation, but he doesn't need to play right away, which is good because look. All right,
let's take a break.
Okay,
Let's take a break. Let's take a break because you're killing me with this. He doesn't get to play right away.
He doesn't need to play right away.
It's like buying food and saying I'm not going to eat it now.
No, he doesn't need. Look, they shouldn't have taken him. But I'm saying if somebody's going to take him in a spot where he doesn't have to play 30 minutes a game.
No. NBA Files. Welcome back to the NBA Files. We have a passionate disagreement here.
Indeed.
And a lot of teams are drafting with the Speedy Claxton theory. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is 3 years ago, Sixers drafted Speedy Claxton, who was an undersized guard from Hofstra.
Yes.
When they had an undersized shooting guard in Allen Iverson. Mm-hmm. So essentially they drafted a guy who couldn't play with their best player.
Yes.
And the premise was, well, they were going to trade Allen Iverson. I don't give a rat's ass what you're going to do. You draft people on what you have in front of you. Uh-huh. So when you draft Thon Maker,
yes,
when you've got the Greek Freak, Jabari Parker, Chris Middleton, what are you doing?
John Henson, Greg Monroe.
What are you doing?
Look, it's a terrible draft pick. It's an absolutely indefensible draft pick, especially where they picked him at number 10. But for Thon Maker himself, it will allow him to be on an NBA roster and learn how to play the game without being thrown in the fire. It's terrible for the Bucks, good for Thon Maker.
No, it was one of the worst picks, and Thon Maker will be out of the NBA in 3 years because of it.
Think so?
Because he's not going to get the chance to develop. He's going to be stuck in practice with young guys who are learning how to develop with a very good coach in Jason Kidd. Mm-hmm. Very good coach. Forgot, Michael Carter Williams is there.
That's right.
You got a bunch of long, lanky dudes.
Bunch of long dudes, yeah.
So it was a terrible pick. And another terrible pick.
Or are you saying terrible picks or bad situations?
Okay, bad situations.
Okay.
Bad situation because it was a terrible pick. But bad situations. But another bad situation, as much as I love Denver taking Jamal Murray, Malik Beasley.
Yeah.
What was the...
Doesn't make sense. Malik Beasley's a shooting guard. Again, we just talked about Jamal Murray, more of a shooter than a natural point guard. So he's going to be your starting shooting guard theoretically. Now you have Malik Beasley, and you have Gary Harris who's just coming around. He's going to be in his third year. You have 3 shooting guards, all of whom deserve time. Like, you don't have enough spots to play those guys unless you play Jamal Murray on the ball more than you really want to. It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
It's a bad situation for a good player.
Yeah, I agree.
Maker is a bad situation for a good player.
I would agree with that.
Now, we've got a little less than 30 seconds.
Okay.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
Now, with the other 2 Sixer picks, but Ben Simmons.
Burkhan, yes.
What do we got here?
We got a star, man. Not a superstar. Mm-hmm. We have a star player, a guy who can be, one of the cornerstones of your rebuild, a guy who can, set up his teammates, a guy who can attack the basket, a guy who can, again, when he's engaged, he can defend multiple positions. You have a very unique talent. I mean, let's dial back to the comparisons to LeBron, because LeBron's not human; he's a cyborg. Mm-hmm. But Ben Simmons is one of the more complete players that has come out in the draft in the last 10 years.
I agree with all of that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to end the show with this. What do we have? What do we got? We got it right. The Sixers got it right.
Got it right.
And I'm excited about it. For Roy Bird, for Kwame Fisher-Jones, that is it for this segment of the NBA Files and SNJ TV. We will have another segment that we're going to work on for Philly Camp. But for those fans, we appreciate your time and year.